If you are experiencing foundation issues, get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
It is about 4 minutes now before the hour, and we're joined this morning by Dr. John Segars, the Superintendent of Sylacauga City Board of Education. Dr. Segars, good morning.
Good morning.
Wet day, isn't it?
It is wet.
Talk a little bit about where we are as COVID-19. It seemed like forever we've talked about this, March of last year. A lot of people are beginning to see some light at the end of the tunnel. What about yourself?
I think we are. We're starting to beat this. COVID has not gone away, of course, but I think we've figured some things out that allow more of our students to come back to the classroom. And where we saw in October about 65% of the students in the classroom every day, November up to maybe 70, 72%, we're above 80% now. There's still some people with health concerns at home, and we certainly want to take care of those folks as well. But 82% or so back in the classroom is pretty good right now.
Is it better with our teachers as well?
I think so. Teachers have gotten used to the things they need to do to protect themselves, to protect their students, and to make sure that those students that are at home are getting the same level of education as those that are in the classroom.
So what do you think is the next step for us with the Sylacauga City School System as far as in class?
I think like every other system, it's more students coming back into the classroom. We realize there's a huge learning deficit right now. It's not going to go away by staying at home, and our schools are safe. We've proven time and time again that there is not a problem with transmitting COVID in schools because we have taken so many precautions like many school systems have. And I think that what we'll see when this is all over with is that one of the safest places you can be is in schools.
I know you have been concerned from the outset of this about us falling behind.
I have been, and I'm not alone. And I mentioned before on your show that Dr. Mackey, our state superintendent, and I spoke back in May. We spoke again in August. We spoke Friday night by phone, and he keeps reiterating the same point: is we are behind, and we've got to take those steps to recover and get back to where we were. So we can begin moving forward again.
What do you see as some possibilities in the future of expediting our recovery?
Well, we had a board meeting last night with a work session, and we spoke specifically about those things. It's going to be more time. It's going to be more hands-on, face-to-face contact between student and teacher. You know, your old school day went from about 8 o'clock in the morning to about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe 3:30. We've got to extend those days, and we've got to pay teachers to come in and do more. We've always done that.
Explain extending the day.
We've always done that. We've always provided extra help for students after school. We tend not to do things on weekends, but certainly in the afternoons as students can do things, and at night. We're going to have to do more of that. The other thing is very robust summer school. We normally have somewhere between 50 and 100 students that take advantage of summer, either new learning or credit recovery or things like that. But I anticipate this summer it's going to look more like 300.
Wow. Dr. John Segars, Superintendent of Sylacauga City Board of Education, our guest this morning. And Dr. Segars, I mean, May will be here before you know it.
It's right on us.
And you know, we got a lot of work to do in a small amount of time.
We do. You know, we're under pressure to make things happen. We've already started, and by moving some of these students back to class that are struggling, we've already started taking those steps. And last night we approved, I think the list maybe 25 tutors. Those are our teachers who will be paid extra to teach students after school hours.
Talk this morning, if you would, about, you know, testing and that kind of stuff.
Testing goes on. We have the ACT coming up in March. Already working to make sure that students are ready for that test. It's a grueling exam, and you just can't walk into it and take the ACT and be successful. You have to train yourself to do it. But we also have our state testing system that will happen starting in March, where grades 2 through 8 will be evaluated. And of course, every school system in the state is going through this. The results will not be pretty because so many students have been away. But it gives us that that benchmark of where we are, and then we can start putting a mark on the wall of where we need to be.
We mentioned this last year with the graduating seniors and how we felt for them. Man, you really feel for them this year too.
We do. Class of 21, my heart goes out to you. They've had so many things taken away, but we've also been able to give them a lot of things that people don't see. Our athletics program has been going strong. Of course, we had a great volleyball and football season. We're in the middle of a great basketball season right now. Some very
top 10 ranked team.
Very talented, and the girls are coming on strong. So, and oh, by the way, soccer and baseball and softball and spring sports have kicked off now, and they're already practicing. So you'll see them on the field, and it's good. Those sports are outside. That's beautiful to get out of the gym and hopefully it alleviates some of the concerns of COVID.
We talked about our seniors graduating this year. What about the younger kids? Talk about that a little bit this morning.
Well, we always like to focus on those seniors because they're about to step off into the real world, into adulthood. So we certainly look hard at what we're giving them before they walk away. Not just a diploma, but all the other things that we can provide for them. But those young children, learning how to read, learning how to do math, that's the foundation of our community for decades to come. So we will place most of our emphasis in the summer, of course, on those grades, kindergarten through third grade, which fall underneath the Literacy Act, which is huge in this state right now, and there'll be more coming out about that later. But it really says if you can't meet the standards in the third grade for reading, you don't get to advance to the fourth grade. We want to make sure that our students are not in that position.
We were looking last night at home and going over some stuff with Zach. He's in the 5th grade at Pinecrest, and it's Kindness Week.
It is.
At Pinecrest. And, we struggle with pandemic and COVID-19 and all the other stuff you deal with. We need kindness, and teaching kindness is so important.
It is, and I have a very nice thank you card on my desk from last night, where our students at Pinecrest just said thank you, and they said thanks to our board members last night, and acts of kindness go a long way right now. So it's wonderful we can continue to do those things, and I surely thank Dr. Shelley Bailey and her team down there at Pinecrest for doing that and making it important.
Looking for a new football coach.
We are. It's, we did this last year about this time.
I guess it was.
I tell you, Andrew Zhao, he has a lot of opportunities.
Sure.
And when Clemson University calls, I don't know a football coach in this state that would turn that down. And I told him, I said, pack your bags and go.
Go for it.
We're proud of you. It's always nice when your head football coach gets picked up by a big name program like that. And, he's on his way to great things in college. We're proud of Coach Zhao, and we're thankful for what he did. He helped us change some things in our program that needed to be changed, and he did a great job.
Kind of bridged the gap there, didn't he?
He bridged a gap. He drew some kids in to play football that hadn't played football before. Good athletes. They weren't recruited to come play football on that team, and he did bridge some gaps there, and he built a good coaching staff. But I tell you, it'll go on, and they're
so what happens
coaches.
Next?
We have, I think I looked yesterday, we have 66 coaches who have expressed interest in the job. So we have plenty of resumes to go through.
What's that say for Sylacauga school system, man?
Well, it's a great place to be.
Yeah.
Lots of people want to come here. They recognize not only our football program, but our academic programs. I've had letters from parents saying, here's the coach that we like. He's coached our children growing up. We've seen him in other communities, and give him a chance, and we will. 66 though.
It's amazing.
High quality coaches. So we'll have a lot of work to do here.
So what's the process of selecting a new coach?
Well, we're starting right now, going through each resume and figuring out how many of these coaches are actually qualified to do this job in Sylacauga. 5A program's big. You just don't start out there and expect to be successful in 5A, and it's a tough region. You see the caliber of teams we have to play, and then we'll look at coaches that fit into the community. What can they bring to our community? Because football is more than just that play on the field on Friday nights. It encompasses everything in the fall, and more people come out to football games than anything else in this town in one single event. So somebody that's invested in the community and is a good teacher. They have to be a good teacher for our children.
Do we want a coach to settle in Sylacauga?
I always like that. I mean, it means something when people move here. It's tough, though. I mean, Coach Zal had 2 children in college and 1 in high school in Thompson. So moving to our community at that time was not right for him. Well, now he's got to make some decisions too about, do I move to Clemson? Do I leave my family here? And he and I talked about that. But getting people to move to a community where the future is unsure, and it's unsure for every educator, it is tough. And especially when there's children, parents involved, and now there's COVID. What do you expect out of these people? But certainly people coming to our community to live is important.
Talking about futures, you announced a week or so ago of your pending retirement.
Right, and I'll say don't wait till you're old to do it. We have some family concerns with my mother in Northeast Georgia. This is a good time for us to return. I'm the closest relative within 600 miles of my mother, and so we did some real thought over the last year. My daughter's in 7th grade. If I were to stay here for another 3-year contract and then decide to leave, she'll be right in the middle of high school. So that was a consideration. We either move now or we don't for a while. I think that this was a good time for us to break. But I told the board last night, I said, it's not about me. It's not about the superintendent. It's about 2,100 students down in our schools. What do we do to make sure they're on the right recovery path, that we get COVID out of our community, and that we begin building again on what we had before COVID started. So we really want it to be about them, and it's nice to retire, and a lot of people have called and said thank you and best wishes, but I said, let's just keep pushing, and I'm here till June 30th.
Did COVID play a factor in you looking to retire?
I don't think so.
Okay. It's been a big challenge for everybody.
My mother's 80 years old. She has plenty to worry about health-wise besides COVID. She's a strong lady, and she's very talented. She still works in the hospital every Friday as a volunteer. She still goes and does what she wants to do, but there's going to come a time when we're going to have to take care of her, and we don't want to be here having to make that decision. I'd rather be closer to her when that time comes.
As I've known you, you're not one to pat yourself on the back. But talk about some of the accomplishments that you're most proud of during your tenure.
Well, our school system has done some great things. We have certainly raised the bar significantly in career and technical education. When I came to Sylacauga 5.5 years ago, about 60% of our students were getting credentialed or certified in something that shows they have something more than a diploma. Today, it's more like 80 to 85% of our students are walking away with a credential of some sort. That's the first one. Certainly, athletics. We have made some deep runs into the playoffs in many sports. I think last year and the year before, all 9 sports went to the playoffs. Those things are always neat and gives kids opportunities to showcase their talents. The arts. We not only have band, but we have choral music, we have show choir, we have art, we have commercial photography, we have audiovisual production. Those things give kids opportunities too. So I think, if I were to talk about accomplishments, is we have given children more and more options in a relatively small school system, and most of these options look like things you would find in a very large school system with a high income.
I know you're very proud of your support team as well.
Wow, do we have some winners that can turn things on, from transportation to food service to academics to facilities management. We've got a team that's hard to beat. These people are dedicated. We don't pay people enough in education. We don't have enough money to. These people do it because they have big hearts. They come to work every day. They come to work on Saturday when I call them. I hate doing that, but sometimes we wind up in a lunchroom on Saturday saying we have to get this fixed before Monday because this is not the product we're going to give children. So yeah, I'm extremely proud of them. This school system will run without me. That's the beauty of it, is they don't need me. They can do it themselves.
And finally this morning, with the COVID-19, what have been the biggest challenges that we faced with this in our school system?
Certainly when children go home and learn remotely, is keeping them and their parents engaged. It is hard, so hard to teach a child how to read when they're not in school. It is very tough to do the repetition you need in math when you're not in school. It's too easy to quit at home. There's too many distractors.
Oh, sure.
Plus, mom and dad have to work. So now the child's at home with a babysitter, with an aunt, with a grandmother, with an older sibling. Well, if you'd have left my brother and me at home when we were teenagers to do our schoolwork, it wouldn't have happened. It just would not have happened. We would have done anything but schoolwork until our parents came home. So I think that's the biggest challenge, is keeping those engaged who aren't in the schoolhouse. When they're in the schoolhouse, we have them, and that makes life easier.
There's so many, and I know at my house, there's so many distractions with technological toys and stuff that they have to play with on computers and all these kind of gadgets and stuff.
There are, but it's no different than when you and I were children. I mean, we would have found a baseball, a football, a basketball. We would have gone and ridden a bike, done something to occupy our time. Today's children are tied to electronics. So they stay inside, but it's the same problem, is keeping those children focused on what they need to be doing at the right time and giving them not only the information, but the time for repetition to do things.
Is our graduation schedule on schedule?
It is. It's on schedule. We have a strong senior class this year who will graduate. One of our objectives from now until graduation is, how many things can we give these students that they don't have right now? Yeah. You know, the question always comes up, can we do a prom? I don't know how to do a prom with COVID. Can we do something like a prom to give them something? Allow them to dress up, allow them to congregate within reason. We don't do field trips much anymore. So can we give our seniors something, show them something that they're going to need in the outside world? And certainly a graduation ceremony like we did last year, wonderful community support. We did it it was very hot, so we did it in the morning, but we got everybody on the football field, spread them out, and it was probably one of the best graduations anybody's ever seen around here. And, we just kind of had to pull that thing together at the last minute and say, let's make it happen. Wow.
Dr. John Segars, Superintendent of Sylacauga City Board of Education, our guest this morning. Dr. Segars, always a pleasure. Thanks for coming this morning.
Thanks for having me.
More Daybreak right after this.